See, before we start the orientation session, I would just like to tell you, like, see, try to ensure that you are keeping your. Hello. Is it audible now? Yes, fine. Okay. So, a warm good afternoon to all of you. Let me welcome all of you to the orientation session for political science and international relations. Today with us, we have Uttara Mary Reggie IRS. She has secured, she has cleared UPSC examination with political science as optional. She was my student last year. I would like to welcome Uttara to the session. Along with Uttara, I also have Varun Mohan. Varun is also there. Varun is my co-faculty for this particular subject. Varun is also there. So the agenda for the day is to help you to understand the importance of selecting optional and also to identify why political science is a good optional. So Uttara will be talking about her journey with respect to political science optional. We'll give Uttara initial stage. After that, I would be talking about what all things that you need to take care while we are selecting an optional subject and why political science would be an ideal optional. I believe that there are people who are not Malayalis also in this group. So I think Uttara would be continuing in English. Okay, Uttara, over to you.
Thank you so much. It's good to see you after a long time. So hi to Shina sir and Varun sir. And good afternoon, everyone. Actually, it is good morning for me. I just, he knows I'm a late riser, so I just woke up. So I will try to cover my PSIR journey. And because I just woke up, if I miss anything, please feel free to ask me any questions that you may have. So as sir has already mentioned, my name is Uttara Mary Reggie, and I was a full-time UPSC student at Ireland. And I did all my preparation for prelims, mains, and including PSIR optional at Ireland. And since this is PSIR orientation, I'll briefly go through my PSIR, what I can tell you from what I did for political science as an optional. So the first and foremost thing that helped me through this whole journey was I did not attend the PSIR orientation because I was so sure that I wanted to take PSIR as my optional. He actually, Shinaza was mad at me for not attending. He asked me, don't you want to know about the optional? I said, I'm so, okay, I get a comment saying that my sound is breaking. Am I audible to everyone?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So yeah, my first thing was even before I came to Trivandrum, one thing I was sure was I wanted to take PSIR as my optional. So that particular interest in that subject really helped me to sail through this exam with political science and IR as optional. So my suggestion to most candidates, or my opinion, is that once you have at least interest in maybe, let's say 60 to 70% of the syllabus, and you're sure that you can, with good interest, if you can read at least half, you can sit through at least half of the syllabus, then that is a very good optional. And for me, PSIR was one of those. So that helped me a lot. The second thing was the most key part. Even if you really like the syllabus, sometimes it is very difficult to get the good guidance and good material that will help you to actually clear the exam. I will again quote my mentors. So what they had said is, what you're aspiring for is not an MA in political science. So what you're looking for is to clear this exam. For that, you need a specific kind of orientation and a mindset to apply. So so for me, what worked was at Ireland, I had Shina sir and Varun sir who were actually giving me personalized guidance towards a subject that I was really interested in, which otherwise I might have gone too much in depth. For example, let us say if it is communism, then maybe I would have, since I'm interested in that topic, I might have taken I might have done a research on that topic. Instead, there were few people who were very key in telling me this is what is needed for the exam. You don't need to write a research thesis on it. So you need that kind of guidance to make sure that your preparation is very key and very customized to the topic, which I was able to find. Now, the third thing that you actually need is your once you have your interest and now you have found the right mentor who tells you what to study. The third thing that normally that you will be looking for is what do I need to study. Now, if you have looked at the syllabus, you can see that it is it is at least 1.5 pages, and that is true for all optionals. Now you need someone to tell you for each keyword in that syllabus, where do you look for material to study. So that brings me to my next point, that you need to have a good access to materials that you need to get through this exam. Again, I was fortunate enough in this case that the institute I learned that I joined gave me pamphlet sized condensed material, which gave me a good introduction into the basics of political science and international relations. So I'm in case you don't know, I'll just remind you that I come from an engineering background. So for me, most of these terms that is used in political science and the theory part of IR were very unfamiliar. So we needed to build that basic terminology that we use in PSIR. For that, before you start taking these big textbooks, very advanced material that is available at the in the market, you need to get familiar with all those terms. So for all those basic building blocks that you need for PSIR, I sat with my mentors. They gave me access to material which was used to build those terminology that I can use in my answer writing, terminology that helps me in understanding when I read an advanced textbook. So you need that kind of guidance, especially if you're coming from a background where you have not studied political science, or if you're from a science background, because the brain for science background and brain for this kind of like humanities are different. So these are the few things that really helped me to get through. And it would be, I got this opportunity, so I should mention, along with this, I got really good push, a lot of yelling, a lot of, I slacked a lot. So I did have personal guidance from Shinaz sir and Varun sir. Guidance includes a lot of yelling at from Shinaz sir, because I was not very keen on writing answers. So that is what I wanted to bring. So after you have studied all these things, you have used your mentors, you have used the professional guidance you have, but it really doesn't help you if they cannot give you a feedback. And they can give you a feedback only if you write an answer and show them. If you tell them, sir, I studied this book, I studied this, I read this article, you're not using the help that you have, or you're not using your faculties to see if you'll make it through the exam. So another thing is answer writing. Again, I joined iLearn's PSIR test series. So what happens is I write the answers and I had to get the feedback. If I don't get the feedback, they can never tell me what I need to do better or where I need to focus more on. So this is another aspect that I would emphasize on. Even if you have not studied a word or you have not finished your material, do write the answers, listen to I would say professionals who have been in this field for a long time, wherever you choose to be. So because they can give you the guidance and they can give you a good feedback. So that is where the answer writing and test series comes into play. Now, talking about PSIR, my preparation was slightly time crunched. So what really helped me in choosing PSIR was we had this optional has a good overlap between your GS papers, your essay, and your interview. Especially with GS2 and GS4 and essay, I actually wrote an essay on international relations for my exam. I didn't remember the topic, but it was about South Asian communities. So it actually helps you. This particular optional really gives you a good overlap into your preparation, and also for prelims. Like you have to study Lakshmikant, which is you're already doing for your prelims, and it gives you a good overlap into your optional basic preparation. So that is another way I think PSIR is a great optional, especially working under time crunch. Another thing was an interview. So I did have few questions that was on contemporary affairs, some viewpoints on federalism and cooperative federalism. So I did have few questions. So I'm saying you can probably bring another layer or element to your answer if you're a political science student. I'm not saying that you will get these questions, but it definitely helps to have that background. Then another thing that really helped me through this whole preparation was a personal relationship between your peers and with your faculty. That also really helps you because this is apart from PSIR, this is not an easy preparation. It is very time crunched. It is probably 1 or 2 years of your life, and all of you are probably just graduate from college, and you have to find a job. So I'm telling you, time is of importance. So treat each attempt as your last attempt. Do not think that I will study this. I'll study for prelims this time, then I'll clear prelims and mains next. Prelims, mains, and interview in the third attempt. So treat each of your attempt as your last attempt. Give it your best. And since this is a very demanding preparation, have a good relationship with serious peer candidates and create a personal relationship with your mentors. And trust me, it is very rewarding and it will really help you if you stick to these key points that your mentors are telling you. So I think that is what I wanted to talk about. If there are any particular questions or anything that I have not addressed, please feel free to ask me. Shiraz sir, I think I've covered the things that I wanted to talk about, unless there is something that I've missed.
See, students could actually raise questions with regard to the sources. What we can do is we'll be providing with the basic sources of materials which we have given to our last year students also. So a PDF will be shared in which the syllabus and the sources are actually provided. But Uttara could actually talk about her sources also. Uttara.
Okay.
So Abhi Ayyappan has actually asked about the sources that you have taken.
Yes, I see that. So I'll go with the sources first. So the first and basic source, as you all know, for the entire UPSC is newspaper. So I used to very diligently read the newspaper. And since you are all in PSIR, make sure you make notes separately for your GS preparation and anything that is in a political science situation. So you should have separate notes for your optional and for your GS preparation. And I repeat this in most of the talks that I give. So you should assume that your first and foremost source is what UPSC gives you. And there are two things that UPSC gives you as source. The first thing is your syllabus. So be very thorough with your syllabus, especially for PSIR, because as far as I know, they do not ask any question out of the keywords that they have given in your syllabus. So be very thorough with your syllabus and also with the previous year question papers, because previous year question papers gives you a clue or a glimpse into how each keyword is translated into a question. So you need to be very thorough with at least the last 5 or 6 years of question paper and be very thorough with your syllabus. And also I should mention at this point, there is a pattern, not pattern, but there is some kind of if you're very well versed with this preparation, you can kind of assume this is probably the next topic that is going to come. And I would acknowledge Varun sir, I cannot see him, but at this point, because he's very good in kind of predicting this could be that he does no 100% guarantee, but this could be the next topic that could be asked from this section A for paper A and paper B. So you need that kind of research and familiarity with your previous year question papers and your syllabus to get to that point. Now, once you're well versed with these two things, my next source was you actually get a booklet of previous year question papers for PSIR, which I'm sure so will tell you. And after these two, I used the material that I learned gave to build the basic blocks. It was very difficult for me to just start by reading a standard textbook. And Shanasa was very particular that you start building your blocks. There are textbooks with terminology for political sciences that is explained. I cannot recall the name of the book right now, so it would definitely help you. So he has that book which I could borrow, which has all the terminologies for political science. So once you're well versed with what each term means and what each of these keywords that you have in your syllabus. So there is a handout with each of that corresponds to each of the keywords in your syllabus. So I use that material to build my basic understanding of the syllabus. From there, I moved into the standard textbooks. And if you have any other material that is available in the market which you think is familiar and it is vast and you need to read it, go ahead, no problem. And sir also would say that. But my source was first let me get my basics right, then read the few standard textbooks, then I will move on to the advanced material. But my basic sources were newspaper. Oh, I forgot to mention one more thing. That is, there is a selective set of writers, political science, editorial writers, and other podcasts or YouTube material. So there are few particular people who are very well versed in this field, which like Christopher Column, Raja Ram. So I just cannot. I remember few of these names that were given to us. You should definitely follow their articles. This is spread across Indian Express and a few of the research foundations and also on Hindu. So you need to follow these few writers who really give you a good analysis from a political sense perspective. You will receive a list of these writers once you start looking into the next level of preparation. So I religiously followed these few tips and tricks that were given in the class by whoever was taking the class at that time.
So, PC Chaitanya has asked about your time management.
Yes, before that, I stand corrected. I mean, I have not prepared for PSIR in 1.5 to 2 years. Yes, it is C. Raja Mohan, Suhasni Haida, definitely. So thank you, Ammu and Chaitanya, for correcting me. And preparation strategy and time management. My preparation strategy, as I have already mentioned, I was at a very in a very time crunch situation. I did not have a luxury of time to sit back and relax. So my preparation strategy was give it all I can. I was always in. If you wanted to see me, I would always be in front of that in that small room next to Shinasa's room where you wait to meet him. So he would always ignore me. I will be the last one to be called in because he knows I will sit and wait. So I will always be there, or I will be asking Varun sir, can I meet you? Can I meet you? Can you please take a look at my answer sheet? So my strategy was use all the resources that you have, including your faculty, the books that they suggest, and your friends. It is very key that you have serious candidates. Not this is not college. It's a big realization. This is not college. You cannot hang out. You cannot just sit and have fun at this point. So, but if you have serious candidates, I did have a friend who was preparing with me. She was also very serious, and she was also in PSIR. So my strategy was to use our bonding or friendship towards the preparation. So I would say strategies, treat this as your last one and last attempt. You may have to give another one. Luck probably doesn't favor you, but when you prepare, treat it as your last attempt. And do not just 1 year of your life. This is a career worth it. If you cross, it is very rewarding. And so make sure that that 1 year you do it seriously. Do not slack off. Do not think this is college. Completely give your 100% and listen to professionals and people who have already done this before. So that is my strategy. Treat this as your one last final attempt. Manage. I would tell you something that is
Please ask.
yeah, my time management for PSIR are an optional and GS was not very optimal, but I would say since there is a good overlap between your optional, if PSR is your optional, and GS, I would say in the first part of it, when you're doing prelims and you clear prelims and you're in mains. So when you're in doing prelims, keep your syllabus at hand. make sure that you attend all the classes, but you don't need to give the same amount of time. You cannot give the same amount of time to your optional while if this is your first time preparing for prelims. But the mistake that you should not make is ignore your optional. So while you're preparing for prelims, uh, I know your focus would be on getting your GS material right. So you have to keep your syllabus for optional with you. When you're reading newspaper, keep it should be at the back of your head that you need to prepare for optional too eventually. So when you make notes, try to make notes with your optional in at the back of your head, but it would be, I would say, maybe like 70 to 75% of your time might be at GS. But make sure you attend all the classes. And when you're making notes, you're also looking at it from an optional perspective. Now, once you clear prelims, the game is different. You will have to really give more like probably equal focus on your GS and on your optional, especially because you have given a lot more preparatory time for your GS. So at that time, you will have to really grind down on your optional. And I am assuming by this time you would have your basics done because you have already attended all the classes, you have done the answer writing series, and you also have your notes ready. So once you have this, the next phase, mains preparation, you will have to grind both together. And then we had at least 1 week between our GS papers and optional. So that time it is completely towards optional. You make notes. I mean, at some point we can go into the details of how to revise. This is just an orientation. I don't want to go into details. But there are people who have cleared with flying colors who will help you with how to make notes good enough for your preparation, but also good enough for revision for 2 hours or 3 hours before your exam. So there are things that you can do. But I would say look at which phase of your preparation you are. But at any point, do not ignore your optional. But the time that you give to each of the papers vary depending on which stage of preparation you are and what kind of familiarity you have with each topic. So that is also again customized. Talk to Shina sir or Varun sir if you really need to plan on that. Okay. So reading NCRT helpful for building basic knowledge in PSIR. I believe there are political science books from class 11 or 12 that could actually help you understand few of these terminologies. But honestly, I did not read NCRTs particularly for political science. I use the material from Ireland, and I'm sure any material that you use as your first and basic reading material will definitely have those basics. I did not use NCRT for political science preparation. For GS preparation, absolutely yes, but not for PSIR. How science background people can approach better understanding in PSIR. I believe I mentioned that before. It's the thought process is different. What you can do is start reading these articles that I've already mentioned. You can listen to a few of this India's World, the big picture. There are few programs on Lok Sabha TV. I believe they're still on YouTube. They do telecast it on YouTube. So subscribe to those channels. That will help you to see the difference between a science background thinking process and a political science thinking process. But at the end of the day, it comes down to learning the basic key terminologies, knowing that how to put your argument in political science versus in mathematics. So for that, you need to read political science based material that is provided by your institute and also follow these reputed authors and watch these programs. I think that will help your brain to excuse me, brain to start thinking more in a humanities perspective than a science perspective. How did you make use of study partner? Yeah, so that is more about I was at her house most of the time. So I would say, first of all, make sure your friend is very serious. Second thing is there is a lot of topic to cover. You both can share notes. can, you know, you need, excuse me, UPSC is looking for a rounded individual. You cannot be completely opinionated on one side. So you can put forward your ideas and actually see what your friend thinks about the same topic. So it really helps to bounce off ideas of each other. So you become well versed and rounded in your opinion, and you're not saying that I am right, and you only know one side of the topic. So for me, that is where she came. She was very helpful, that we would have these discussions, and then that helped me form my opinion, especially at interview, and also writing answers were optional. But you can do like however you do in school, like college. You just divide the material excuse me, divide the material between yourself, and try to revise it, share notes. So whatever way that works for you, but make sure this is a serious candidate and you're not wasting your time.
Ma'am,
You have a lot of questions, sir. If you want to pick any of these questions.
Okay, Narendran wants.
ma'am, is it audible?
Great. Narendran, please ask.
Yes, sir. Ma'am, my doubt is there are questions which ask about your opinion in recent development or current developments. So at that time, it is very important to read articles from newspapers or magazines. But when we see some of the writers will go with a biased opinion, some may be anti-governmental, some may be as per their like their opinion also. So in that case, is it advisable to read articles or editorials directly from newspaper, or is it advisable to go with some vision or insight where they provide the gist of the article? So is it okay to go with editorial itself, or is it okay to go with the notes about editorial?
Okay, good question, Narendran. I would answer this in two ways. The first one is your basic question about the opinion. I agree, some of the articles are either left-leaning or leaning or right-leaning or maybe completely different. So what you need to do is you need to identify that this article is particularly one-sided. And you can only counter that by reading more and more articles. So we believe that Hindu has a certain left leaning, and then you can counter it by Indian Express will definitely have an article about the same topic. So it is your responsibility to identify which side it is leaning, and round the argument by reading other articles on the same topic. So only by reading few, and then also I'm sure there are certain objective analysis that is given by certain, and I used to follow some people on YouTube who would give like very objective analysis on certain topics. And again, this is where your friends also come into play. So to form an opinion on contemporary issues or anything that you need to, make sure that you're leaving your prejudice. Like, I already have this opinion about it. That will not work at UPSC, because they're looking to see if they can train you, if you are a person who can see beyond your opinions and work for the country. So make sure that you form your opinions a little bit one step ahead of your own opinion. Like, be very rounded. So it is your responsibility to look into that. Now, the second part of the question, do I need to read the article or do I just need to look at the notes provided by a few of these institutes? I'll definitely say read the article. It is because, especially for PSIR, it is very key that you write your answer. And I'm sure that you're aware that we cannot write in bullet points for your PSIR. So you need to bring certain, I wouldn't use the word sophistication, but certain level of uh, constructing your sentences. It is not sophisticated, but it is not like how you write in your GS as bullet points. So you are making an argument in a very uh, political science or rather intellectual way, and it has to come out like that. And you will learn this sentence construction, how people make a point, how they actually show you the other side of it. All this can be understood only if you sit and read a well constructed article by someone who knows what they're doing. So just understanding the issue will not help you with your writing skill. Your writing skill can be developed only if you take the time and pain to read through articles. Initially, it might be difficult. The language is very complex at times. Sometimes we have all struggled, but I'm telling you, it is worth it at the end. So especially for your optional preparation, make sure that you read the article even if it is long, not just the gist of the article. I hope I
Yes, ma'am.
answered.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes.
Yes,
ma'am,
Anand.
audible? Ma'am, I'm applying for 2021 examination, and now what should I do? Actually, my GS preparation were already over. My only hurdle is optional. So in this stage, what should I do? And I purchased the Subharanjan Political Science optional notebooks at that material and all. 6 books are available. So in this situation, how to deal with the optional like time management and all those things?
Okay, so you are appearing for the next prelims in October, is that correct?
Yeah, ma'am. Yes.
And you're saying you have done most of your GS preparation. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
so your hurdle is optional, so you are at a good place. You have enough time to prepare for your optional. And this is what I mentioned in the beginning, that if there are other material like Shubramam's material that is available in the market, and it really helps you if you want to go through those, no problem. I did go through those, so there is no problem in doing that. My only, I mean, I have personally used those notes, but if you have seen those notes, you cannot learn political science from those notes, right? Because it doesn't give you the basic understanding of what each concept is. Instead, it helps you to write good answers. It gives you like a condensed form of what is happening right now. But it does not, I mean, personally for me, I could not understand the basics of political science from those notes. So I would say you first look for, I mean, since I used Island's material, I'm still saying that if you have other sources, that's fine. I personally used Island's, those handouts to understand what each topic that you have in your syllabus means. Once you're absolutely thorough, at any point, if someone asks you what each concept is, what is an IR, what is a certain theory, if you're 100% familiar with those theories and familiar with those terminologies, then you go on to build your answer writing based on this additional material that you have. So you have enough time. So that's where I would start. And this has to be supplemented with always go back to the syllabus and previous year question paper. Check how they ask these questions. So that I think you have enough time to do that. So this is what I would suggest. I hope I have, not sure if I have answered your question.
Yeah, ma'am. Got it.
Okay. How to get that base building material from Island? Oh, it will be given to you each day in class. Whenever you attend class, it will be provided to you. And then the class will be based on that material.
So somebody want to ask about your current affairs preparation. You like whether you have gone for compilation or
Yeah, I did go for compilations. I will be honest with you, because there is a very good time crunch. But that does not mean I used to read newspaper no matter what. There is no substitute for actually reading through newspapers. So read your newspapers very thoroughly every day and make notes. So your own notes, if you make doing compilations, eventually you start using compilations, you'll realize that it is too much to revise. Like you have what, 12 booklets with 300 pages to revise. I don't know how we will do it. So your own notes from compilations or from definitely from newspapers, supplemented by compilations. These are two good ways to go ahead with your current affair preparation. And whenever I could find time between the preparation, I used to attend the current affairs classes that were provided. The additional help is provided, and I hope Kana is still there. So Island does have Kana program where current affairs will be discussed in detail, but there will be current affair classes with part of your GS preparation. So all this is helping you to make your own notes. I'm not saying go to a class or read this compilation and it's done. Compile everything with your own notes, so it is easy for you to revise at the end of the day. And a tip is make issue-based notes. Do not just make note, okay, 3rd March, this is what happened. 4th March, this is what happened. Make issue-based notes under the heading of each keyword in your syllabus for both GS and for PSIR. So I am going back to the same thing. Syllabus is your guidance. So go to syllabus. Your note should be based on syllabus, and it should be based on syllabus and also based on each issue under each topic.
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, ma'am, I have listened to a topper, one of the topper PSIR, and he said that you need to thorough with the editorial of Hindu and both Hindu and Indian Express. What is your stand on it?
I don't know about the word thorough, but I really agree with that person that you need to read at least 2 articles on the same topic. I was probably not clear. This is what I was trying to say, that you get 2 sides of the same issue, so you can formulate your own opinion. So I agree that thorough doesn't mean you need to learn it by heart, but you need to understand what learned researchers and scholars are talking about each topic, and you can form your opinion from that only if you read both sides of the same issue. So I agree, read both the editorials, and if there are more or well-reputed scholars on the same topic, like from ORF, Varun sir, they do have a Telegram channel to which Varun sir usually posts good articles and good editorials and papers on these key issues. So you can read those as well. So that way you will have your note on each issue. So you can just start writing down your opinion. You form your opinion from after reading these. So I agree. The more you read, the well-rounded your opinion will be. So am I audible? I get a comment saying that I'm not audible.
Yeah, you are audible to me. Others? Uttara is audible, right?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Okay. Okay, one question I'm seeing is, did I make offline or online notes for current affairs? I did offline notes. I am probably way older than all of you by a big margin, and I'm very old school when it comes to that. So I did make offline notes. I tried making Evernote notes and I tried OneNote. Did not go well with me, so I did do offline notes. If you are very tech savvy and you really can do it, no problem. I know friends who still do that. It's very good. I did offline notes because I like even now when I talk to you, I have a paper and pen in front of me. So I like the feel of having a pen in my hand. So I did offline notes. How to start answer writing for PSIR and GS. You will have orientation sessions on answer writing, very detailed sessions where people have cleared. I think Jalil sir came for us for answer writing. You will have sessions where you meet with more people, where the structure of answer writing, the material, what are they looking for, all that will be discussed in detail. And since this is orientation, I'm going to stick to the big picture because answer writing might be a little bit more advanced when you have the material to write an answer. But it is different from GS. You cannot write it in bullet points. Time management is key. I'll just go with the basic things that you talk about in optional.
Ma'am, may I ask the question?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am, actually, I'm a working professional, so I couldn't join any of the institutes, including iLearn, because of the time constraint of my job. So your suggestions were mostly based on iLearn handouts only. So because I was not a student of iLearn, I don't have iLearn handouts. I'm planning to take up the test series batch, which is going to be launched in June. So other than the test series, what will you advise us if it is not for iLearn handout? What will be the source or what will be the method of preparation?
So your challenge at this point is that you have to really streamline your preparation. I can easily say Google the keywords. So that will give you, a plethora of all these stuff that you cannot cover in time. So I would say take the syllabus, streamline, like find one source. This is the one source that I will go look for my material. So try to streamline it, and it's very easy to get lost in all this material that is available out there, the websites. So I'm saying stick to one material or one website that could really help you to find answers for each of those keywords that you have in your syllabus. And if you personally reach out to Shinasar, I'm sure he can help you, or any other mentor. I'm not sure if you are in Kerala as well, but any other people, like any other professional who is very well versed in this field of PSIR. It could be a
Yeah,
professor.
I'm staying in Trivandrum.
Trivandrum. Okay. So I would say have a personal conversation. I mean, I hope Shinasa doesn't mind me saying this, but it is your responsibility. Like the honors is on us to clear this exam. Nobody else can do anything for us. If you look, there is one Shinasa and probably 50, 60 of us. So it is our responsibility to go and approach someone. It doesn't have to be him. It could be a professor. It could be someone who has already cleared the exam. So I would say get one point of contact for yourself. Else, it is very easy to be lost in this material. Find that one person who can help you to streamline your preparation, especially with material and guidance. And personally, I would ask you to talk to Shina sir or Varun sir or anyone else that you know has done this before. It's very difficult to otherwise manage your time.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am.
Ma'am,
Yes.
hello,
I'm
ma'am.
not-
Ma'am, you talked about the current affairs compilation and all those things and just and all. So may I know what are those things, or like mission material, or what is it? What are those things?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again? What are the
Ma'am,
materials?
you said that you covered some of the compilation for the current affairs and all. So may I know which are those compilations?
Oh, I cannot recall, but Vision does come to my mind. I probably used Insights compilation, all this for GS preparation. And you can download these
So,
PDFs from websites. So I did use
so
Vision.
monthly magazines, right?
Yes, monthly magazines. But I never had this one source, depending on whatever was the topic, because I followed this is, I don't know if you know, I'm still talking about Island because my preparation was completely based on Island's material. So they have a timetable for the exams. Your prelims test series, there is a timetable. So I would take the topic for this Sunday's exam, and whatever material was available, I would just use that, like whatever was available as a free PDF, I would use that. So if it was Insights that was available, I would use it. If it's Vajiram, I would use it. So I was going by the syllabus of the prelims test series that was going on, supplementing it with whatever was available at the market.
Okay, ma'am.
Since we're talking about material, I really have one suggestion. That is, PRS has a monthly publication called Monthly Policy Review. You will hear about this from in your classes, but it is a small document about less than 20 pages. It's very informative, especially for political science and GS2. So it is called Monthly Policy Review by PRS. So make sure you are familiar with that document. It really helps you, and it is in simple English. There is no major legal terms. It really helps you to understand what is going on at the legislature at each month.
I think from now on, I think I will take on and I will just give a brief idea about the subject and also some doubts that is raised by the students. So I would like to thank you from my whole heart that you could attend the session. Actually, when she told that it is good morning over there, you need to understand that she is right now in US, and so that is why we have actually made the session in the evening so that it could be at least morning over there. Okay, so she has taken extraordinary leave for 1 year and she's currently in US along with her husband. One interesting thing is that like she was my junior in my school, my junior in my college, but I didn't know at that time. She got married to my school friend also. So the interesting thing is that like getting her into service was actually a very crucial point of my my civil service mentoring also, the fact is that like a lot of things was on stake, because like many of my friends know that like, okay, my friend's wife is actually preparing under me. Like many from the college know that like, the thing is that when she got into service now, and I got a lot of accolades from different places also. And again, she being my student in my option also could actually get a lot of inspiration for me to continue more student or support more students for option. And from now on, I will take on Uttara. Thank you for your presence. We will have more sessions with Uttara. We'll having an answer writing session again, where Uttara will be talking about how to prepare answers and all. So the objective of next session is to actually get an understanding about what the syllabus is. Okay. So thank you, Uttara, once again.
Thank you so much. It's so good to be part of this team anytime. And as much as it was rewarding, the journey was rewarding for him, I'm sure it was more rewarding for me. So thanks a lot and good luck to all of you. If I missed any of the questions, I'm sure we will meet in other sessions to answer it. So good luck. Have fun.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Thank you, Uttara. Okay, fine. So Uttara has actually given a very detailed analysis of how she has actually prepared for this examination. But some of you might actually find it a bit difficult because she has anchored her preparation on I learned material and all. So what I'm going to talk right now is to get you to understand about the subject and the syllabus. I'm not talking concentrating entirely on what I learned offers, which I will be talking towards the end of the session. So what now I'm going to talk is for you to get an understanding about the syllabus. Okay. So 1 minute. Okay, so some of you still have raised some doubts like, what should be the ideal optional? Why should I select this particular option, etc. See, choosing an optional is very important for its examination because out of 1,750 marks, 500 marks is for your optional. And this is actually something that actually determines whether you score good marks for your mains and whether you get into service or not. So it is very clear that everybody knows why it is actually important to choose the correct option. Now, the next question is that what should be the strategy that one should actually adopt for choosing an option? See, multiple strategies are actually adopted by students. For example, one of the strategy or one of the thinking points should be one of the rationale behind choosing the option should be the interest that we have on the subject. The second one should be the overlap with the GS papers. Then you should also look into the availability of proper guidance. And the fourth aspect should be the past trends, the scoring pattern, etc. So these are actually the different rationales. But you shouldn't actually rely on any one single rationale, but rather you should choose multiple rationale and to see which is the right option for you or not. So out of all these things, the past trends, the scoring pattern, etc., could change at any time. Some option might be very good right now, some option might not be very good right now. Recently some optional continuously students has been clearing from it. This could change at any particular point of time. So therefore, the ideal combination with choosing an optional would be the interest that you have on it and the help this option provides in the whole management of the time. Because time is one of the most important resources when it comes to civil service preparation. So which option could actually support you in effectively managing the time or the resources that you have with you? So that is very crucial. And I believe that you should always look into this aspect that whether you have a proper interest on that particular subject. Why interest? Because the problem is that the interest is important because you are going to study this particular subject for nearly 1 year, one whole year. So if you're not going to have, or if you don't have any particular interest on this particular subject, and you're choosing it on the basis of the fact that, okay, some toppers has taken it, or your friend has chosen it, that's actually a mistake. So always make sure that whether you have interest on it. And more importantly, this also helps you to properly manage your time because of the overlap it has with the GS. This should be the criteria that you should be choosing. For example, if you're going to choose any particular X as an optional, you see it from this perspective, whether you have an interest on it, whether this particular option will help you in managing the time that is available for your preparation. And also see whether you are actually having a good guidance for this particular subject. Now, when it comes specifically to PSIR as optional, one important aspect that I would ask everyone to look into is the overlapping with the GS syllabus. You know that political science is actually an interdisciplinary subject. There are some element of history, there are some element of sociology, there are some element of philosophy in our particular subject. And because of this aspect, because of this interdisciplinary nature of our subject itself, there is elements with respect to GS1 history. There are elements with respect to Indian polity, the political system, international relations in GS2. There are elements with respect to GS3, internal security aspect, and especially with respect to ethics. And more importantly, PSR always helps you to write exceptionally good essays. Essay is one important aspect, like every student actually forgets to prepare effectively. See, and essay is another subject in which there is scope for you to score about 150 to 160 marks out of the 250. While the maximum mark in GS comes in the range of 120 to 130, the maximum mark in essay comes in the range of 150 to 160. So if there is something that actually helps your essay, that is something that you should always look into. Then, see, other than the, and when it comes to the interview also, it's like if you are with the political science optional, there will be questions with respect to international relations when it comes to political science optional. So, and more importantly, it gives a favorable impression on the aspirant. That means it has a positive impact on the aspirant. You see, you are actually trying to understand the thinking of Plato, Aristotle, Machiavelli, Gandhi, etc., Hannah Arendt, etc., and the different concept of justice, the different concepts of rights, democracy, etc. It do has a positive impact on you, and this actually helps to increase the thinking level of you, which actually helps you to score good marks, not only in this particular examination per se, but also to keep a wider aspect to things around you. Then another advantage of PSIR is that materials are actually available. It has what you call a fine blend of conceptual and factual, at the same time static and dynamic also. So don't look into the recent trends with respect to any particular option, including PSIR. Let's say that the topper is from PSIR, so I will take PSIR. No, that should not be the case. You should see that whether you have an interest in it or not. Now, to compile all this concept into in a short form, you can see that this is actually a GS companion. And if you have an interest in politics or if you have an interest in international relations, then PSIR is your best option. And preparation for PSIR actually helps you to be on top with the current affairs also because of the dynamic nature of that. And as I told earlier, it is more of an analytical in nature. For example, in a GS2 perspective, you will be looking into the micro aspect of different subjects that is available in the GS2 syllabus. Whereas when it comes to the PSIR, you are going to have a macro approach to it. Then it helps in self-innovation, and this supports actually in prelims as well as mains, because there are certain questions which is actually trying to connect with liberty, equality, laws, etc. So your knowledge or your understanding of political science actually helps you to score such questions from Indian polity. Obviously, it helps you in your interview. And as I told, it has a positive impact on you. It's not only for an examination, it actually improves you as a whole itself. Now, when should someone actually start preparing for your optional? See, ideally, it takes about 5 to 6 months of your time to prepare for an option, especially an option like political science. So you should have a proper, thorough understanding about the concepts and the facts that is actually there. The conceptual clarity with respect to the syllabus actually helps you to write good answers also. So therefore, you need to actually spend at least about 6 months. Whether you are going for coaching or not, you should spend minimum of 6 months of your time to prepare examination. And ideally, it should be in the beginning of your preparation. For example, you are going to write examination next year. Ideally, it should be in the beginning. Ideally, I'm not saying that it should be always like that. And when I say that you should use 6 months of your initial time, it doesn't mean that you should only study optional. It means that you should focus more on the optional and to get that conceptual clarity with respect to the option. For example, again, another important aspect with respect to the political science is that, I mean, not only with respect to political science, with respect to any option, is that you should be ready for the mains. Now, you shouldn't think that prelims is that obstacle that you need to overcome. Then I will start for preparation for the mains. That should not be the case. In such a scenario, you'll always be in a vicious circle of clearing prelims, then trying to study something for the mains and writing it. You may not qualify for the interview. Again, you need to write the prelims again, and the cycle goes on. So you should approach this examination in a wholehearted manner, in such a manner that never go for a half-hearted approach. Go for that wholehearted approach in which you are tackling not only prelims but also the mains, and in mains not only the GS but also the options. Okay. Now there are examples for students who are actually studying optionals after the prelims. I mean, and people have cleared examination also, but those are exceptions. It should not be seen as a model to be practiced as such. Now, one question that I always get from different students is that, sir, I am from a technical background, I am from a science background or commerce background. I don't studied about political science, or my graduation subject is not political science. So, but there are many examples, including like you just talked with Uttara, who is an engineering background. So the background doesn't matter. What you need is a proper guidance and proper understanding. See, the guidance is with respect to what to study and what not to study, because there are plethora of material actually available over there. So you need to understand the demand of the syllabus. So that is what Uttara was telling repeatedly about understanding the syllabus. Then you need to understand the demand of the examination. And that is why she has identified the importance of going through the previous question papers also. And when it comes to ILEARN, like what we provide over here is that we provide actually, we start classes from the very fundamental basics. And we believe that like all the students who are in front of me are people who doesn't know anything. I mean, there are people who has done masters in politics, at the same time there are people who has done engineering and all who is sitting in front of me, and we will consider each and every one of in the same position itself while we are having classes for political science. Because what we need more important is that like we need to ensure that the student is having that conceptual clarity, and that is actually what actually going to help you also. When it comes to the conceptual clarity, it means that you need to have a thorough understanding about what each of the words in the syllabus actually means. So Uttara was talking about a material that actually helps you to understand the material, right? So that material is nothing other than the Oxford Dictionary for Politics. The Oxford Dictionary of Politics is something that we have identified over ILEARN, and we have asked every student who is with ILEARN or not ILEARN that go buy that book first. Buy that book first if you are not from a political science background, because and read each and every word in the syllabus and try to understand what is the meaning of it. We will obviously be covering that particular idea when it comes to the discussions in the class and in the handouts. But if you are going for a self-preparation, this Oxford Dictionary is a crucial thing for students without a political science background. Now, if you look at the syllabus of the political science, that's something that is very crucial for all the students who are out there who are trying to prepare on your own or prepare with me. This is something that you need to properly analyze and understand. Okay. And if you look at the syllabus, you can see that this is the part 1, paper A, part 1, paper A. And this is the most important topic of the entire syllabus. Because you will see that paper 1, part B is actually the Indian government and politics. And the paper 2 will be comparative politics, international relations theory, world politics, India's foreign policy, etc. The fundamentals of all those topics, IGP, Indian government and politics, comparative politics, IR theory, India's foreign policy, the foundation of all this could actually be found in Western political thought and theory. So therefore, having a thorough understanding of what is there in paper 1 part A is very crucial, because that actually helps you to build the foundation. For example, you need to understand about the political theory part and the Western thinkers, because That is a big block of this particular paper itself. So, like, see, you need to understand. I mean, through the classes, you will obviously be getting an idea about the basic concepts or the language and the terminology that is being understood. And you will obviously understand the different discourses and also the different perspective. So what I'm suggesting is that you build a base on this part. And this is very crucial because whatever you are going to build after this, for example, in the IGP or Indian government and politics, it should be on the basis of what you have studied over here. And always remember not to go for multiple resources. The simple and single resources would actually help you to clear this examination. So for example, when it comes to Western political thought, you can see in the syllabus the 10th bullet point is Western political thought. You are going to study Plato, Aristotle, Machiavelli, Hobbes, Locke, Marx, Gramsci, Hanna. Okay, so if you're when you're going to study these thinkers, you need to understand that you need to understand what are their basic concepts, what are their different aspects with respect to the political thought, and you should actually refer one textbook, maximum one textbook. So, for example, if you're going to study with me, I will definitely be giving my study material, island study material. If not, the ideal textbook for this is Subrata Mukherjee's Western Political Thought from Plato to Marx by Subrata Mukherjee, or you can go for Brian Nelson also, Western Political Thought by Brian Nelson also. So for Western Political Thought, I suggest Subrata Mukherjee or Brian Nelson. And when it comes to Indian political thought, V.R. Mehta is one of the ideal textbook. V.R. Mehta. And for political...
Can you post same names in the group? I'm not in the home right now.
Okay, hello?
Sir, can you post the names of the books and the author in the group?
Okay, see, definitely we will be sharing a PDF with you, and that PDF will have the name of the book to the corresponding topic. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Don't worry. Don't worry. So next thing is with respect to the political theory part. The base book would be O.P. Gauba, Political Theory by O.P. Gauba. Not go for more than one textbook. You can identify one textbook, stick to that. Don't read multiple textbooks. See, always remember the theory by Bruce Lee. See, Bruce Lee always says that, see, I'm not afraid of a person who has practiced 10,000 kicks, but I'm afraid of a person who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. That means that particular person will actually be able to effectively implement that particular kick because he has practiced this 10,000 times, right? So rather than going for multiple resources, identify one single resources and stick on to that and do the revision. Have that conceptual clarity with respect to that and do that mental revision on each of the topic. Okay, and understandingly, when you look at this particular partner, you will see that this is like a static portion. It's like a like mathematics itself. Like you write the correct theory or not. So this part you understand it, you understand the theory and write the correct answer or not. You don't have to bring in that subjectiveness over here. Okay, now when it comes to the second part, IGP, if you look at the syllabus, you can see that we are talking about India's national movement, you are talking about Indian constitution, the different salient features, preamble, fundamental rights, duties, DPSP, parliamentary system, judicial review, basic structure. All these are actually covered, are to be covered along with the GS2. You can see that this is IGP or Indian government politics is one of the most crucial element with respect to your preparation. Why? In the sense that people tends to make a mistake over here, thinking that okay, this is how we will prepare for. We'll prepare it for GS2. We'll think that we'll prepare it for the GS2, and when it comes to the GS2, we'll think that okay, we'll prepare it for the IGP. See, more than the preparation, you need to understand the way in which you need to approach questions from the IGP portion as well as the GS2 portion. So just to complete the syllabus, and we have the statutory commissions like Election Commission, CAG, Finance Commission, UPSC. Then we need to discuss about the concept of federalism, then the different planning perspective, then the importance of caste, religion, ethnicity in Indian politics. Then you need to talk about the party system, and finally the different social movements of our country. So you need to understand that when it comes to the GS2, even though the syllabus is more or less similar, in GS2 we are going to have a micro view. Whereas when it comes to the political science, you are going for a macro view. In other words, you need to have a broad analytical understanding about each of the subject. And you need to integrate the theory that you have studied earlier, that is with respect to the theory that you have studied earlier with respect to the paper 1 part A, and you need to integrate it over here. See, for example, you are going to study about Indian judiciary. If that question is coming from that GS2 perspective, you will be talking about the different constitutional provisions. You will be talking about the different articles with respect to judiciary. Then for example, advisory jurisdiction, different types of jurisdiction with respect to Supreme Court. Okay, but when it comes to the political science aspect, we see it from a very different aspect. For example, you try to understand the role of judiciary in Indian democratic system. Has Supreme Court has played its crucial role, or has Supreme Court has played the role as it is envisaged in a federal system? So here you try to see it from a broader macro perspective, whereas when it comes to the GS2, you see it from a micro perspective. Actually, the IGP questions are much easier than the GS2 questions, because GS2 questions you need to have the fundamental stat with you, whereas in the IGP question you can actually tackle it with the foundation knowledge, because what it actually requires is a detailed depth-wise analysis, and you need to bring in scholars and sources as and when required. See, even by looking into the nature of the question itself, you can actually understand or differentiate, and what perspective of answer is also required. Okay, then when it comes to paper 2, you can see that the whole of the paper 2 can actually be divided into 4 parts. One is comparative politics, second one international relations theory, then world politics, then India's foreign policy. See, comparative politics is one area which is normally identified as a very difficult topic by many students, but actually, when compared with what students study for the graduation, comparative politics is only very less amount is there in our syllabus. And here in comparative politics, we try to study the developing countries or the politics of the developing countries and try to compare it with what is there in the developed countries. And when it comes to the theories of international relations, there also you need to have a fundamental understanding about what do you mean by idealist foreign policy, what do you mean by realist foreign policy. See, for example, when it comes to Israel, India's foreign policy has been that of a more realist in nature, right? For example, earlier India used to be very vocal about Palestine's freedom movement, and we never used to publicly support Israel. But right now, we have actually identified the importance Israel provides us when it comes to international relations. So we are shedding our idealistic tendencies in our foreign policy, and we are becoming more realist in nature. So that transition of foreign policy. So when it comes to the foreign policy, you can do this analysis if you know the approaches to the international relations. And when it comes to the second part, that is the world politics as well as India's foreign policy, which consists of the paper 2. The paper 2 talks about India and the world. It talks about India's role in the South Asia, India's role with respect to the global, so that is with the Africa, Latin America countries, and also India's role with the global power centers, etc. So over here, you need to study it in two aspects. For example, you need to study it from two aspects before prelims and after prelims. Why the difference? Because this is a dynamic portion, right? So before prelims, you need to understanding about the history and basic fundamentals of India's foreign policy. For example, with respect to India and Pakistan, so you need to understand that what are the problems. Okay, so what has happened when it comes to the after means, our discussion would be more on the current events and try to analyze it from that perspective. So that is something that you need to take care when you are studying for Indian foreign policy. And when it comes to IGP, that is Indian government and politics, this particular portion, your fundamental textbook your fundamental textbook would be obviously Lakshmikant, in which you try to understand about the very basic fundamental. But as I told earlier, what you need is more of a macro analysis. And for IGP, one textbook that provides this macro analysis is Indian Government and Politics by B.L. Fadia. So if you're looking for a reference textbook, I would suggest Indian Government and Politics by B.L. Fadia. And comparative politics, it is always, it is not advisable to go for a standard textbook for comparative politics because the number of questions and the size of the syllabus is much less. So always rely on the study material that is normally available in the market for the comparative politics. But when it comes to the theories of international relations, if you want to go for a standard textbook, one would be The Globalization of World Politics by Bayliss and Smith, or you could go for Global Politics by Andrew Haywood. And when it comes to India's foreign policy, the best material would be obviously the current affairs. So because that is one dynamic area in which you need to understand like what is happening, and also we need to bring in thinkers. For example, us identified earlier, for example, C. Raja Mohan uh, or Suhasini Haidar. I mean, what has C. Rajamohan talked about India's foreign policy with Israel? So while we are writing an answer over there, we can bring that concept also. And along with that, you can also bring in that transition of our foreign policy. I mean, the IR theory part also. So that is something that will be always helpful while you are writing answers. Okay, so this is with respect to the syllabus of the examination. Okay. Now, what Island offers is that we have continuous classes in which we'll be completely covering the entire syllabus. We'll be providing handouts also. And when each major bullet head is completed, we'll be having a small answer writing also. Your papers will be evaluated and feedback will be provided also. What we are aiming through the program is to have a clear conceptual clarity for the students, which will actually help you to write good answers. See, don't rely on any study material that is available in the market, including ours, because this study material will be useful to anybody who has attended that class. Let it be Shubhra Ranjan's mark, because she is one of the leading authority in political science. Her materials are very nice. Similarly, our materials are also very good. But what I'm saying is that don't rely on a material alone. You attend classes and get to understand that what is there in the material. And that is something very crucial. So Island actually ensures that you have that understanding with respect to the subject, thorough understanding with respect to the subject. And that is what is actually going to be very crucial. And along with this, Island will also be providing you a test series, a political science test series. The objective of the political science test series is to, after the prelims examination, there will be a political science test series would be there, which is actually part of this particular program. Okay, so I think I will stop because there has been some questions that has been raised. Just let me look into. Okay, so will this be available in, this session would be available in recorded session and it will be made available, don't worry. And Lenovo has been asking a question with respect to Hindi medium students, which books are available. And ma'am didn't take up that question because ma'am don't know Hindi material, Hindi resources. And I also don't know particularly textbooks with respect to Hindi medium students. So that is why I'm also not able to give a correct answer for the Hindi material. And sir, should O.P. Gauba's Indian Political Thought and Western Political Thought book? Okay, so Chinju, see, O.P. Gauba has written books on all subjects. So it's a very standard textbook standard. But when we have a better book available and we are going to refer only one particular book, it is better to go for that. But if you are somebody who has already studied from that particular, and if you got that understanding from that particular book, you can follow it. Okay, so Ammu is asking, sir, how to quote scholars. Ammu, for example, Suhasini Haidar has actually identified India-Pakistan relationship as protracted enemies. So that is the key terminology that is being used by Suhasini Haidar when she tried to discuss about India and Pakistan. So that concept of protracted neighbors is something a scholar has actually identified, and we can put that. Then when it comes to green revolution in Indian government and politics, see, I'm giving some random examples to get you the idea of how to code scholars. Okay, so when it comes to green revolution, there is something known as bullock cart capitalist. So actually, the green revolution has actually helped the middle class farmers in India, and that has actually turned out to be the bullock cart capitalist in India. And Christopher Jaffarlot has actually identified such a concept and put forward that idea. So we will be discussing these concepts, these ideas put forward by these thinkers in the classes, so that you can bring that to the answers. So what we suggest students is that, along with, I mean, first of all, you need to have an understanding about that particular topic. The next part is, the second part of the study is you identify the important scholars, which is actually given in in the materials. And how you will do is that, for example, when it comes to Green Revolution, the next point would be who is the thinker. Next point would be what is his core idea. So you will have a collection of the thinkers and the core ideas, because that is there in the material that is being discussed in the class. But you will collect it separately and keep it. So during the revision process, you can actually revise into these thinkers and scholars. So you have an understanding, because you have attended the classes, you have studied the material, and you have an understanding. And what is actually required is that you need these scholars and these sources into your answers. So we'll put it into the answer so that the answer become more, the answer stand out from others. So that is how to approach that. And kindly tell us about the writing session starting on Mincy M. Chant. See, Mincy, the writing session starting on June 1st would be focusing entirely for the paper one first part, and paper two, we will be discussing about IR theory as well as IR theory and the key concepts in IR. So it is focusing only on that. If you want to talk more about it, we can do that. Okay. Rudolf has actually put forward the idea of bullock and capitalist. Okay. Is PSIR a vast subject compared to another? See, PSIR is actually relatively big subject, but when you look into the syllabus, you need to understand that there are multiple topics. For example, if you look at Gandhi, we can see Gandhism is there as part of political ideology, and also we also have the what you call Indian political thought. Gandhi is there. Similarly, Marx is being repeated at two or three times. Okay, so what we need to understand is that this particular subject, uh, uh, need to be studied in such a manner that you look into the syllabus, you identify the correlation within that syllabus. For example, while you're trying to understand about Gandhism and Marxism, you can also cover the Gandhian political thought and Marxian political thought along with that, even though there are slight differences. Okay, so if you look at from that particular perspective, the syllabus is not vast and it can be covered. And if you are putting some extra effort on this particular option, obviously it is being supplemented in your GS preparation as well as your interview as well as your essay. Validano choicha validano. It's a bit big. I'm not saying that it's very compact syllabus and all. Okay, but the effort you are putting in here is actually or rewarded in multiple ways. Okay. Now, before we wind up the session, I will address that particular. I would just like to. See, what I'm sharing with you is a exhaustive book list. I strongly suggest you to not to go and look at all those topics, all those reference materials. Only use those reference material. Identify one reference material and stick on to that. Okay. I will share one, and I will also answer one particular query is there with respect to PubMed and political science. See, see, for 2022 batch, we are going to have our optional classes only right now. The test series would be there. Test series would be there only after the prelims examination. Then again, if there is any delay with respect to the prelims examination, then we will have some answer writing program as we are having right now. Okay, Amu, if you have completely studied this particular topic, then you can actually join for the PSIR answer writing program that we are starting right now. We are focusing on the answer writing part. Okay, especially for the paper 1 part A and paper 2. Okay, then the optional classes starts on 17th. Okay, June 17th. It will be both online and offline. It is available on both online and offline. And once the government restrictions are done with, then the classes would be, you will be given an option whether to continue in online or offline format, and you can continue the classes also. Okay, so right now the classes would be in online format because the government hasn't given permission to start offline classes. I will share the material with you. Is there any, okay, how can we select? Nada, see, selecting a good reference book is like, see, that is why we have told you one, in the class, we only identified one book, right? But when it comes to reference book, there can be many reference books. And standard reference books are something that we have identified in the class. For example, O.P. Gauba would be a very standard book for the political theory. And when it comes to IGP, Fadia and Fadia would take care of all of your requirements. Along with that, you need to take care of the dynamic portions also. Okay, I will share the material now. Okay, can you see the material? Chinju, I haven't referred to that particular book, so therefore I can't comment on that. I have seen the book and I have just gone through that. But particularly when it comes to IR, Baylis and Smith or more, see, Baylis and Smith is a bit difficult for you to comprehend. Okay, so all those who are actually sharing, trying to see it from the phone would actually find it a bit difficult to see it. Okay. See, I have shared it over here. I think people who are actually trying to access it from the mobile would actually find it a bit difficult. I have shared it over here itself. Here in the sense that in the chat. Can you see in the chat? No? Okay, fine. Wait. So file has been sent successfully. Still, you can't access it. If you if there is any difficulty in accessing, please do one thing. Send a mail to sorry. Okay, you can send a mail to shinaz.island@gmail.com. I will make sure that all those who are shared the email will actually be getting the PDF in which the material is being shared. Okay. If you have any doubt with respect to what we have discussed over here, or if you have any doubt with respect to the political science optional as such, you can ask. Okay, the option class starts on June 17th. June 17th. Janice, I think that has answered your question. So for 2022, the option class would be starting on June 17th. Anything else? I mean, you can ask any doubt regard to political science. See, if you find, I mean, our classes would normally be in the morning, like from 7:15 to 8:45. So normally working professional can also attend if they want to. Then again, it is up to you whether you want to go for optional. I mean, whether you want to go for coaching or not. But what I believe is that like sitting in my classes will actually ensure that you have a thorough understanding about the syllabus. That is something that I can guarantee. Okay, see, we do discuss about the subjects in very detailed manner so that you get an idea about it and you have a better and clear mental picture about it. Because that only actually is going to help you for a proper mental revision of that particular subject. Okay, what else? See, for all those who are in by ensuring the COVID protocol and all, if you come to the office and all, you can actually discuss about the options and all. The course duration would be 5 months. So July, August, September, October, November. By December, we'll complete the whole thing. See, if you have a thorough understanding of the subject, then you can actually go for test series. But the problem with is that, like after writing the test series, and when you find that if you are lacking something, then you are actually losing out a very crucial time of your preparation, right? See, the most important thing with respect to the preparation is that you should go for that wholehearted approach. That means you do it in the best and the most effective manner. See, there are many people who are clearing it in the first attempt without going for coaching also. But they do give a lot of effort on studying on their own. If you have that self-motivation to prepare on your own, it is always better to prepare on your own. and understand the demand of the examination from GS perspective and from mains perspective, and then continue doing it. Okay. See, for all those who have any doubt with respect to political science optional, at any time, see, ping me or message me in this particular number or call me. I'm not saying that I will take everyone's call at the same moment itself. No, I will be having some classes and all, but you can drop a message in WhatsApp saying that, okay, you are so and so, you have attended the orientation session for PSIR, I have certain doubts. And whenever I'm free, I will look into this matter. And see, even if you join here or not join, let's see, this is an option that is going to help you, definitely. So that I will guarantee you. But whether it will help you or not actually depends on you, because you need to have a thorough understanding about what is actually required over here. Okay. Is there anything else? Okay. See, we'll be having one more orientation session within 2 weeks' time. That orientation would be more of an understanding about the subject. Okay. So we'll have more details about that. Okay. Okay, the details of the PCM batches would be available from the office. Abdul, the details of the PCM batches would be available from the office. You can actually check with the office to know when the new batches are actually commencing. Okay. So it was actually very interesting to meet you all. Like, I could see there are very curious faces sitting over here trying to understand about this optional. See, have faith in political science. Whether you have faith in me or someone else is secondary, but have faith in political science. That's going to be a very rewarding optional. But just make sure that you don't just go with some materials and all. You take the standard textbook and have the thorough understanding about that, then go ahead with the preparation. Okay, so faith in political science, and if you believe that you can actually, I can ensure that you are actually in the good hands when you comes to me. Like me, Varun sir, and everyone actually ensures you that you have the proper understanding about the subject. Okay, but again, what's more important over here is that you understand what is this examination is all about. It is not to have too much of knowledge on a particular subject. It is to clear this examination. So your knowledge should be based on that. So I hope that everyone would actually be targeting your preparation on that dimension. I would like to thank each and every one of you, and drop an email for getting the the list of the study material. And also I will also share some standard handouts also, so that you can understand what our handout will look like also. And if you have any query, just ring me or call me at any particular time. Okay, thank you. If you have any no more doubt, we will wind up the session. Thank you. Happy learning.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.